Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. I just finished up. It has been a day today, guys, with clients. There are some days when you do this work and it's incredibly rewarding. And there are some days when it's draining, and there are some days when it's uneventful. Well, today was all three. I had a really interesting day, but one of the running themes, because as I do this work, I do pay attention to the themes that my angels are working with me on. And I'm in my decompressing state right now, and they said make a video about this. Hi guys, for those of you that are new here, my name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. I am a professional intuitive empath, and so when I refer to my clients, these are clients that I do readings for on a daily basis. So here is the energy of this. I had a running theme with several clients in the last couple days, actually, regarding High Priestess and Empress energy. Now, you guys know on here, I talk a lot about Divine Feminine and that exchange and what that feels like and how we live and how we experience things. And one of the things that I've noticed as I've counseled many of you guys, subscribers, and also my clientele outside of YouTube, is that we have often been the high priestess by the door. Allow me to explain. Beauty and the Beast. I love that movie, and it has fantastic messaging on so many levels. But the thing that I was drawn to as I went through a part of my journey in the last couple years, and really in the last 20 years, is that I was the high priestess by the door. And I'm wondering if many of you guys realize that you have been the high priestess by the door. Now, whose door were you by? Maybe the door of your loved ones, maybe the door of your, for some of you here, divine counterpart, distorted counterpart, however you want to ascribe a name to them. Maybe you were that to a family member, a friend, a coworker. Maybe you were that to a childhood bully or a workplace bully or a bully, a narcissist, maybe. What I mean, let's talk about the premise of this. In the beginning of Beauty and the Beast, one of the first women that stood out to me was that high priestess. That, I don't know if they call her a witch. I don't know if she's a high priestess. I don't know what the technical moniker for her is in the movie. But I remember her sitting all shrouded in tattered clothes by the door. And Beast is cavalier, rude, and dismissive of her. But technically, let's take it out of the Salem witch hunt and go into what she actually was. What was she? So they say she was a sorcerer, she was a witch, she was a lot of things, which any of us doing various levels of work in this metaphysical field have definitely been called. But what she really was a divine feminine. She was an empath. She was an intuitive. She was a psychic. She was someone who held a lot more power than it looked like she did. You know, they talk about, specifically in the Bible, Jesus kind of being amongst the men, mixing it in, but he's like technically the son of God. So who is this man that was the king of kings, just mixing it up with us here on earth for a while as he was teaching these metaphysical lessons? But he was easily overlooked, even though you felt what radiated from him. If you want to think about the story of the woman touching the hem of his garment, right? She understood that if I could just get close, his empathetic, his intuitive energy, properties of Reiki and things like that. Of course, maybe this is not what was being thought of in the Bible, and it certainly was not written. However, we know now what we do. We understand that metaphysics is a science, and it is associated with yin energy, which is female energy. This is why it's hard sometimes for a lot of our masculines to grasp that this alternative reality, not alternative facts, but this other multi-dimensional space even exists. But we notice it because we share telepathy all the time. I always teach that energy is shared. So if you are thinking of a friend and they call at the same time, this is a metaphysical principle. It is a science, and it is not something that can be easily pinpointed, but it is something that is literally infiltrating every part of our lives at all times, okay? So back to the high priestess at the door. So whatever the name is that she is, what she did was she understood that I see something in you, Beast, right? I know who Beast was gorgeous, right? In the movie, he was a prince, he was popular, he was happy, he was well sought after, he had everything, he had a palace, he had a kingdom, right? But there was something that was foul within his soul. Can we relate to knowing people like that? Who maybe aesthetically are quite pleasing, but something dark, that way, their way, comes. And what she did was she gave him an opportunity to be kind to her. She gave him an opportunity to have mercy on her, to put a few nickels in her cup. She gave him an opportunity several times to be nice, talk to him. And then, when he dismissed her, she went inside. She turned his life upside down. In the tarot, that's called a tower moment, when everything comes crashing down that you were absolutely sure of. When everything comes crashing down that you were absolutely sure could never, ever crash down. You understand? Empaths, divine feminines, high priestesses by the door. You are far more powerful than you've given yourself credit for. You have the capability and the capacity to end energies, but it's not something that we do judiciously or willy-nilly. When we are here, another word for empath is earth angel. The first time I heard that, I was in 10th grade. I had a teacher, Miss Gardner. I will never forget her. She was a proud Jewish woman, and she took a liking to me. And I was in her, I believe, her AP English class. And one day we went across the street to a Friendlies. If any of you guys know what that is, it's a restaurant, but really famous for their ice cream and being family friendly. We went across the street to a Friendlies, and she shouldn't have done this. But when you are in alignment with destiny, God orchestrates all kinds of miraculous things. She did a tarot reading for me. Now, at the time, the reason that she did this is I had written a paper, and I was super uber Christian at the time, and I was in a Pentecostal church, and I was writing about the rapture and various things like that. I don't know, I don't even remember what the assignment was, but she enjoyed chatting with me, and she said, and we did a little bit of debate as well, semantics and logic and various things like that. And she noticed my debating style in class, and she said, You're too smart to not understand that there is a bigger thing." And in any case, I'm telling you that, but she kind of like cracked open my head. My very small, I'm born and bred, this is what I've been, this is what it is. Now I have not abandoned my Christian principles, as many of you guys know on this channel. It is my bedrock, it is my core. She didn't change me, and she didn't convert my principles or my moral compass. However, she did open me up to understand something deeper and more esoteric. She gave me probably my first tarot card reading, and it was designed and destined in my Akashic records for that moment to happen. And as she read it, she started to get weepy, and she said to me, "You're an earth angel." I'd never heard that term. This is long before we talked about empaths and every other breath, and everybody in the world was an empath. I never heard it. Years later, Doreen Virtue, who was the renowned angel lady who has now gone back and converted back to Christianity fully and denounced her cards and her readings and all the rest, which is another video for another day. She introduced us to earth angels and empaths. In fact, she wrote a book about it that I did read. And it's about our empathetic nature to help and be of assistance, and also the way that we are assigned to certain families, to certain moments, to certain soul groups. Miss Gardner was an earth angel for me. I never saw her after that year, and I don't know what became of her. But what I do know is that she was literally put on my path to get me to wake up. Back to the high priestess. Many of us, empaths, high priestesses, workers of light and not iniquity, are actually given assignments to work with people. They may not know it, and many of us do not know it either until maybe part way through. Sometimes we know immediately that love at first sight, or you're going to be my friend at first sight. We know we have an assignment with someone. We don't understand why, what the attraction is, but we know. That's another video too for another time. But for us that are assigned to people, it is a test of their spirit. Now, does that mean that we're not tested and that we may not have our own trials, tribulations, or people that are put in our path to see what our character and morals are? We test people's loyalty. We test people's integrity. We test people's self-efficacy. And sometimes we struggle. I know I do. You guys, I'm always very candid. What's the struggle that you guys know I have? I talk about my addiction and my codependency with food all the time. Very candid and open with that. So that means on some level, there is a part of me that is not self-efficacious. Okay? The self-efficacy is missing. And I'm working on that. That's what we're all here to do, is work. But in other areas, we often will learn about our metal and what we're made of. Some of you guys were put in people's lives to be a test for them. And some of the people in your lives failed the test miserably. And here's why: because they overlooked you in what appeared to be rags, maybe in an impoverished state. Maybe you were posturing. Maybe you were pretending. Maybe it was really your state at a certain point in your life. But we fall down, but we get up again, right? So we fall down, but we get up. That's Donnie McClurkin. And then I also heard, I fall down, I up again. You're never going to keep me down. And then I'm hearing Cardi B get up 10. So now we've covered everything, Christian to secular, okay? But it's all about the comeback. So for some of us, when we have been in downtrodden moments, if people have looked down on us, that was their test. For Beast in that moment, he was supposed to have mercy, pity, or any kind of emotional kindness. He was supposed to empathetically extend himself to the high priestess and give her a few shekels, give her whatever the help it is that she was seeking. Belinda, if you're watching, I'm sure you will let me know what details I got wrong. Belinda is my unofficial official fact checker. But what I will say here is that a lot of us gave people multiple chances to show the universe, not us. Get out of the story, empath. Get out of the story, divine feminine. We are vessels and conduits that are used sometimes to help people and guide them along their path, or to test that energy. But we're not testing them. Get out of ego, because it's about us. The universe tested them. The universe tested them. And when they failed that test, it wasn't you, which we do at times tend to take it personally. But it wasn't you that they failed. It was the universe. It was God. It was the angels. It was their ancestors that had talked to them repeatedly and told them, maybe you should put a few shekels in that high priestess's cup, because you never know when you will need a high priestess. And who does not need a good empath, a good friend, a good intuitive, a good seer, a good psychic by their side? It is something that has been done predating biblical days. People that investigate energy have always had a job and will always. In the metaphysical properties, if you are delving into that, we are always in high demand. Astrologers have always been summoned to kings' quarters to let them know what's happening. Presidents used astrology and metaphysical practices to help divinate how they should deal with the trajectory of their presidency. It would be unwise to take for granted that these very feminine metaphysical sciences are not real. In fact, the universe, God of wonders, has a way of proving that the thing that we cannot see is in fact affecting us in real ways. If you have been in a situation where someone stepped over you, spit on you, refused you, thought you were less than them. Meanwhile, back at the farm, and the farm would be your internal self, you are always there. You are always providing, maybe nurturing, maybe giving of yourself. And you always knew who you would be and who you wouldn't be, what levels you would stoop to, what you would and wouldn't do, and for whom. If you've had a good sense of self and someone stepped over you and treated you then less than, you were the high priestess by the door. And that means that when you pull away your energy and or, like that high priestess did in Beauty and the Beast, you go in and turn shit upside down, that beast can never ask, how did this happen? Why did this happen for? They had lots of chances to get it right. They had lots of chances to live and be bright. But they chose instead to keep their lights dim. For the Christians, they say they chose instead to live a life of sin. And sin is not just debauchery and lecherousness. Sin is simply sidestepping someone you see as less. Amen? And the church said, amen. Do not be dismayed, my divine feminines, my empaths, my high priestesses by the door. You still have a purpose, and even if you were sidestepped, there was a reason, and you did endure. Try, as I do, daily, to understand that just because someone behaved that way with you, that it is not a reflection of your assignment. It is not a disparagement of what you came here to do. You are still an earth angel. You still have people to touch. You still will heal that heart. And you'll get an opportunity to move forward and see that earth angels are sent your way as a way to say thank you for the work you did. You are here to experience this. In the last couple years, I found myself reminding myself that I have a beautiful life to live. That one experience, even if it was 20 years long in my case, does not define the rest of my life. That one experience that caused me a lot of emotional strife was me doing an assignment. And in the end, I met my objective. I helped someone escape and build a life for himself. I'm proud of the work I did. You can't save everybody, but I think we get double blessings when we help save kids. That's just my theory, guys. Whether it's a kid that you were helping or an adult, a family member, a friend, a lover, a divine masculine or feminine, if they didn't treat you the way that you deserve to be treated, please do not beat yourself up and do not think that you could have done something different. They were touched by an angel, whether they realized it or not. And even if you're not there to see what grows after, you still planted seed and you did your work. My mother always taught me you don't do for do. In the last few years, I realized exactly how deeply that is true. I will never, ever yield a return or have any reciprocity. Not from the Procalicios or the gutter snipes or the persons who tried me. Or sidestepped me, I should say. With their nose up. With their assurance that there was a better way. Maybe there is for them, who knows. But what I do know is this. I have received abundance and extreme kindnesses. Never from that person, never with authenticity, but from so many others. Some of you listening right now. Lovely Lana, thank you for that email. Amy, thank you for those brownies. and other confectionery treats. The world is filled with wonderful earth angels like you who edify with beautiful words, Cathriana, and encourage and do the lovely things that you guys do. I do not want you to ever be dismayed. I do not want you to be on your knees praying and praying that old whoever should have stayed. They sidestepped you, which was what they had to do to learn their lessons. You brought healing through. Thank yourself. Let yourself off the hook. Move forward and see. There is so much more that you get to be, and you ascended even through the treachery. Earth angels, I love you so much. Empaths, I adore you. Divine feminines, I ride for you. Come back and join me next time, and we'll continue to be high priestesses at the door and evolve together.